Hello everyone, welcome back to the series. I am Grey Eagle, a real world A320 pilot, and I'd like to welcome you back to another video in the series of Training Like a Professional, where I bring you along with me on my journey to practice for my annual recurrent training. Got another scenario set up here. We're on the ground back again. We're on the ground again in Atlanta on runway 9 left for departure, just like we've done every single time, every prior time before. We're on 9 left. We get the Varsity 3. SID, I put 5,000 feet as the top altitude just because, and our weights are all going to be the same. So we got 100 passengers, 2,000 pounds of cargo, and we had 16,000 pounds of gas. I burned a little bit since I've been sitting here trying to finish setting everything up for this scenario. So this scenario is going to be much more, will pass much more quickly than the last few have. Before we get started though, I'd like to remind you that everything you see here is for entertainment purposes only and not to be used for any real-world flying. As always, if you do fly in the real world, please consult your operator's SOPs. Alright, now this scenario, like I said, is going to go by fairly quickly. It's going to be an easy squeezy scenario. What they're really looking for is everyone is going to play their part when everything gets triggered. So we're going to end up doing a high-speed reject here, and really what they're looking for, and I'm going to do all the explaining before we actually get underway, just because once we do, I'm not going to really have a lot of time to explain the parts that'll be going on motion. So during a reject, the captain will call that the aircraft is his, so he'll say my aircraft, and the first officer will transfer over those controls. If the first officer is the one that was the pilot flying, they'll hand over the controls, say your aircraft, and then immediately go from a takeoff kind of regime to a landing regime. So we're going to switch controls, verify the spoilers are deployed, and then if he has time, the first officer is going to be the one that gets on the radio and says, Atlanta Tower, Fenix 320, rejecting takeoff, runway 9 left, stand by. And then from there, he's going to come back inside with the captain and call out his speeds, 80, 60, and then once everyone's at a complete stop, then, you kind of split into two different directions. The captain will go ahead and make an announcement to the passengers, and after he makes an announcement to the passengers, he may follow that up with a call to the flight attendants to see if they can see or hear anything that's going on back there that they might not necessarily know that's going on up front. And that's going to go into the captain's decision-making process as to what is going to be his next steps. Meanwhile, the FO is going to double check what the issue is, why the reject happened, verify that the condition actually exists, and, if need be, run the appropriate checklist to remedy the situation. And he can do so. There's no, my aircraft, ECAM actions. He can do what he needs to do in order to remedy the situation. And once the situation is remedied, everyone comes back together and we'll make a plan with ATC and airport firefighting if they have arrived at the aircraft or not. You might be talking to ARF. Otherwise, you'll be talking to ATC to coordinate a plan. Well, can we taxi back for takeoff? If we can, what is our brake cooldown times? Or do we need to taxi back to the gate and have the situation fixed or looked at? So That's really what they're looking for in a scenario like this. It's kind of chaotic, especially for the instructor, because it can be a little task saturating for the instructor. The instructor, yes, he's looking for all these things and all these cues, but at the same time, he also has the captain that he's listening to make sure he's doing his thing, the FO that he's listening to make sure he does that thing, and in the middle of that all, the captain's going to end up calling him to because he also has to be the flight attendant, right? He has to be our purser, so the he also is getting called by the captain to get questions asked while he's also assessing what the first officer is doing and how everything is going in the flow. So it can be a little bit task saturating for everyone on the flight deck. So this is one of those scenarios that yes, it's quick, it's easy, but everyone has a job to do, and it gets very busy. Everyone gets a little task saturated in their job until the situation is resolved, and then everyone comes back together, um, and taxi, clear the runway, and back off, either to take off or back to the gate to get the airplane fixed. So, with that said, I have the situation already loaded in the EFB, ready to go. So, I know what the situation is. You do not. It's not that difficult. At least this one is not. There will be one I think I'm going to upload later in the series, where it's going to be a little bit more involved than this reject, and it's not going to be a high-speed reject either. We're going to do a low-speed reject, and we're going to get a lot of asymmetric thrust when we do it. So hopefully we will see. I'm going to try to make another tutorial video on the low-speed reject without the auto brakes arming to get the full gravity of how uh, precious those first 80 knots are. So that's why we make the 80 knots call, because once we reach 80 knots, we know all the systems have activated. And if we need to reject, we have full spoilers, full auto brakes, full reversers. So that's why 80 knots is such an important call out. Alrighty. But for now, we're going to do this high-speed reject. So we'll have assumed everything's briefed, the checklist is complete, the parking brake is off, go down half deflection on the side stick, bring our EPR on up to 1.05. Alright, stabled, flex, thrust set. '80, bringing the side stick into a more neutral position. Reject my aircraft. Alright, deployed. 80. 60. Alrighty. And tower Fenix 320, rejected takeoff, runway 9 left, stand by. Alrighty. This is the captain. Remain seated. Remain seated. Remain seated. Alright. Now, while the captain is off talking to the flight attendants, the first officer is going to look and say, alright, we have a flight control left side stick fault. Let's see. Does the side stick work? Nope. I'm moving the side stick right now. It is not working at all. So, with that, it says flight control left side stick fault. It is not a quick action item. It is not an ACAM exception. ELAC 1 fault, ELAC 2 fault. We're in direct log, man pitch trim use. So there's really no actions for us to do there. So clear flight control, We'll clear the flight control. On the status page, max speed, we don't have to worry about that. Approach procedure, we don't need to worry about that. We're on the ground. Area up systems are flight control protections. Left and right aileron, left side stick, and we're Cat 2. Clear status. We'll clear the status. Alrighty, so that is all now done. My captain has done seeing if the flight attendants had seen or heard anything. They reported they didn't see or hear anything. And ARF is now here, and they're asking whether we need to be inspected. And to which we'll say, yeah, if you could, the park brake is set, and if you could, just inspect the general status of the aircraft, see if anything's jamming the flight controls there. And they'll take a little cursory look around the airplane, see if anything has happened to get into a flight control surface that shouldn't be there. We'll see. They don't see anything. It's a fly-by-wire issue. So, sorry, but this is why the Boeings are better than Airbus. You know, they don't have that issue. And you can say, all right, well, you know, thank you very much for that. I think we're going to take this back to the gate and have maintenance take a look at it. All right, sounds good. We'll follow you back to the gate. All right, and that will be that. Like I said, that is an easy scenario to run. They're mostly looking for the split of duties and coming back together and assessing the situation. So, quick easy video, one of probably the quicker videos in this tutorial series. Like I said, I might do a low speed reject video here later on in the series where things get a little bit more spicy than they did on that one. Until then, until I see you on the next video, this is Career Eagle, and y'all have a good day. Bye-bye.